Searching the first, the Miami Sharks aim to notch their first victory in team history.
Flying by, how the Panthers knocked off Philadelphia on the road to stay on top of the Eastern Conference.
And we dive into FIU's swim and dive journey through the final days of the NCAA Championships. All of this and more on the sideline.
Hello, South Florida, and welcome to the Sideline, the place where you get all your highlights for your South Florida teams. I'm Kamora Miller.
I'm Zeth Leone, and the sideline starts now.
The Sharks are looking to get in the win column for the first time in the organization history. Sideline's Jamie Nunez was at the match to see if they got it done.
This weekend, the Miami Sharks are playing their second game at AutoNation Field in Fort Lauderdale after following an 0-3 start to the Major League Rugby season. The Sharks are hunting for their first win in MLR against Anthem Rugby Carolina.
Miami had a strong start in this match as the Sharks scored 3 tries in the first 13 minutes of play, putting them up 21-0. Rugby Carolina responded with a try of their own, making it a 21-7 match, but the Sharks scored 2 more tries and 3 conversions to make it a 36-14 halftime lead. Miami dominated the scrums and scored 2 more tries, which kept them in control of the match throughout the second half to capture their first win in Sharks history. Final score was Miami Sharks 50, Anthem Rugby Carolina 21. Sharks hooker Sean McNulty spoke following the team's first win.
First win was pretty awesome. We knew it was going to come soon. We've been building, and we haven't been too far away in the last few games, but I think to do it at a home game is pretty special, to get to share it with all these amazing supporters, so yeah, we're stoked. The whole emphasis this whole season has just been on us. As a new team, we don't really have a history in the league, so it's hard to go off past games, so we're just one step at a time, 1 week at a time. What can we do better? We don't really look at the opposition too much, focus internally and just keep building.
The Sharks' next match is home Sunday, March 31st against the San Diego Legion. With Caplin News, I'm Jamie Nunez.
After getting blown out by the New Orleans Pelicans, the Miami Heat took out their frustrations on the Cleveland Cavaliers yesterday. The roster's injuries did not stop 7 Miami players from scoring double digits. This includes Haywood Highsmith, who was the leading scorer off the bench with 18. The final score was Cavaliers 84, Heat 121. The Heat will continue their climb out of the play-in tomorrow against the Golden State Warriors.
The Panthers closed up their weekend road trip with a win in Philadelphia against the Flyers. Sam Reinhart had a bounce-back game with 2 goals and 3 total points, while new addition Vladimir Tarasenko and Carter Verhaeghe put in 2 more to help the Panthers pull away. The final score was Panthers 4, Flyers 1. The Panthers will look to hold on to the first seed when they go back home to face the second-seeded Boston Bruins at home tomorrow.
While the Heat and Panthers were able to brush off disappointing losses by the end of the weekend, Inter Miami did not have the same luxury. The team entered New York messyless and were shut out on the back of 3 goals from Lewis Morgan. The final score was Inter Miami 0, Red Bulls 4. Inter Miami will look to get back on track at home Saturday against New York City FC.
A gambling scandal in baseball's biggest star has taken over the headlines. Shohei Ohtani's former interpreter, Ippei Mizuzara, was the debt $4 million to an illegal bookmaker, which allegedly he paid off using money from Ohtani's bank account. Mizuzara was relieved from his duties as Ohtani's interpreter. He was placing bets on sporting events, and investigations into the matter is underway.
Sideline's got our very own March Madness expert, Kenneth Bueno, here with us. Kenneth, why don't you tell us a little bit about the tournament so far? What are some of the biggest surprises?
Well, first of all, thank you for having me. But Zeth, yeah, this March Madness tournament has been insane, like it is on most years, but the upsets have been wild. We'll take a look at some of the upsets that have faced the madness of March over the course of the tournament. This was Oakland beating 3-seeded Kentucky, a matchup that we thought would go the way of the Wildcats. It was an 80-76 win. Duquesne beating BYU. Late in the going, NC State, the ACC champs, taking on Texas Tech. They beat them 80-67, and then Oregon going against the Gamecocks, facing them well 87-73. It's the first time 3 11 seeds win since 2022, just 2 years ago in Zeth. I mean, this tournament has been wild. Duquesne, of course, out of the A10 conference, them alongside Dayton, they've been able to advance as pretty lower seeds in the tournament within their regions. But I think the biggest upset is Oakland. You know, going against Kentucky, John Calipari, a legendary Kentucky team that will have a lot of players in the NBA sooner than later. Trey Townsend, Jack Gohlke, that entire Oakland squad, certainly the biggest upset of the tournament so far.
Yeah, I don't think a lot of people saw that coming. That's probably took out a bunch of brackets there.
It took out mine.
Oh man, I mean, I think we've just seen a lot of shocking things happen within the brackets in itself. So let's see how it continues.
Yeah, and I'm looking at UConn to be one of the biggest teams to watch for in their region, and they're doing the exact same thing, guys, that they did back in 2023 when they won the national title. Dan Hurley in that squad, Donovan Clingan, who's a big force inside. They are ridiculous, and they can dominate opponents. They destroyed Northwestern, strolling to the Sweet 16. So that surely is one of the teams to watch for. And then, of course, you have to also think about, I think one of the other teams to watch for is San Diego State. They made the Final Four in the championship game. Last year, they strolled by their opponent just yesterday night. So keep an eye on those teams. Might be big ones to watch for the tourney.
Yeah, UConn looking to see if they can repeat, get another W. Speaking of W's, let's talk about our W's and L's for this week. Kenneth, as our guest, why don't you start us off? What's your biggest W?
Well, I guess since I did the analysis on March Madness, I'm just going to continue my dubs in the madness of March. And I'm going to go with the Oregon-Creighton game. For those that stayed past midnight to watch that game, boy, they were in for a treat, including myself. Creighton and Oregon went to double overtime to decide that second round game. Jermaine Couisnard and Nafali Dante combined for 60 points in that matchup against that big Creighton squad out of the Big East. But then Creighton responded, scored 15 points outright in the second overtime. Big threes by Stephen Ashworth and Ryan Kalkbringer to get them the lead, and they pulled away. That was a treat to watch. That's my biggest W. Yeah,
my biggest W is actually in March Madness as well. It's another upset. I don't know if many people saw this one as much of an upset. This was one of the teams that people, could see coming over the top, even though they were, technically underdogs. It's Grand Canyon University, taking down St. Mary, getting their first tournament victory in school history. What an accomplishment for them. Congratulations. Kimura, why don't you tell us your biggest
I'm going to continue on with the March Madness fun. LSU versus MTSU. The energy on the court was just amazing. I mean, you saw so many shots. They were consistent on their throws. You got Flau'jae Johnson, 19 points in the third quarter, 21 points total. She was just bringing the heat to the court defensively, just the real awesome teammate. Angel Reese again, consistent with her foul shots. I think everyone was stunned watching that game.
Yeah, a lot of good basketball coming this March, obviously. Kenneth, why don't you tell us your biggest L?
Well, first of all, MTSU LSU, that was a great game. They erupted in that third quarter. The Tigers did with Angel Reese and company. I'm going to go to the track this time. F1 at Australia on the other side of the world. Red Bull and Max Verstappen, a huge L for that team that have won every single race since the beginning of the 2024 season. Verstappen had mechanical troubles early. It left Carlos Sainz alone to say bye-bye. I'm going to take my first win of the year. I think 16 days after he got appendix surgery to get rid of some appendicitis. So big L for Max Verstappen and Red Bull, who have been dominant this season. First time we show some imperfections out of that squad.
My biggest L is gonna stay on the court as well. But slightly off the court. Everyone who submitted a March Madness bracket, I'm sorry for you. You got an L. Everyone's out of there. No. There's no more brackets remaining. Unfortunately, who saw that coming? No one ever wins. It is what it is. Come on, why don't you tell us your biggest L?
Oh man, I'm going to continue with March Madness, but for the men's basketball, JMU versus Duke. I mean, that game, I believe they had a almost close to 30-point lead. Jared McCain, freshman, just straight out from the first start, just had those two consistent threes and just really kept that lead going on for the team. They also had an injury on the team. Someone had like a finger thing. They taped him up. He was back into the game. I mean, JMU, their loss, I think I wanted to see something more. They actually didn't have a great start. Terrence Edward Jr., he was benched within the first from his foul, and I think that really was a disadvantage for that team. So I was wanting to see a little bit more from that game, but Duke definitely dominated.
Yeah, a lot of big leads blown as well in the women's tournament.
Yeah.
Well, that's it for our biggest W's and L. We have a quick break, but here's what's next on the sideline.
Competing at the NCs, especially this big my last year, is very meaningful to me and also a little emotional.
A look at March Madness at the pool, where FIU swim and dive squad represented the Panthers on a national stage. We'll take a timeout, and Sideline will be back after the break.
Last week, Brandon met a girl on a dating app. One day after work, he finally found the courage to ask her out. No answer. He started to panic. Was he being too pushy? Maybe it was too...
Hey, sorry I didn't respond. I was driving. I would love to go on a date. How does tonight sound?
Brandon tried to play it cool, but inside he knew a girl so smart, so responsible, she must be a keeper.
The FIU swim and dive teams went to the national championships and wrapped up action over the weekend.
Sideline's Carlton Gillespie was in North Miami with more on how the team fared in the tournament.
Conditions are less than ideal here at the FIU Swim and Dive Complex in North Miami Beach, Florida, but it's been an ideal end to the season for two athletes, swimmer Christine Chue and diver Paige Burrell, as they were selected to compete in the NCAA Championships in Athens, Georgia this weekend.
Chue qualified for both the 100 and 200 meter breaststroke, and Burrell for the 1 and 3 meter dive. For Chue, it was her third time qualifying for the nation's biggest meet.
Competing at the NCs, especially this big event last year, is very meaningful to me and also a little emotional. It's gonna be a memory that I'm gonna cherish in my college career.
This marked the 13th straight year FIU has been represented at the meet, the longest active streak among G5 schools.
13 years in a row. A lot of those years are, by tenths or hundreds, getting a qualification to do what we do in this sport. It's such an elite accomplishment to make this meet. So we're pretty proud of that.
Burrell finished in the top 25 at both the 1 and the 3 meter dive, and Chue finished 14th for the 200 breast final.
The NCAA Championships represent the final meets for both Chue and Burrell, and they will leave this school with a number of records attached to their name. For Chue, the 100 meter and 200 meter breaststroke, as well as the 200 meter IM, and for Burrell, the 1 meter dive highest score. For Sideline in North Miami Beach, I'm Carlton Gillespie.
We got a lot of games this weekend for our South Florida sports teams. Some teams looking to bounce back from losses. Some teams looking to, carry that momentum into their next game. Let's start out with the Miami Heat. They got the Golden State Warriors and Portland Trail Blazers this week. Golden State's coming off back-to-back losses. What are your thoughts?
Oh, I want to see the Miami Heat dominate. I feel like they're always able to, if they do have a deficit in their points, they're able to bounce back really quickly, especially in the fourth quarter when no one's expecting it. I've seen that happen continually, so I want to see that happen again with the Golden State Warriors. Yeah, I want to see the Heat dominate as well, but unfortunately, I don't think they're going to. I think they're going to lose to Golden State. I think Golden State's getting their win off those 2 back-to-back losses, and I think they're going to, take it to Portland. Portland's not doing too well this season. Let's jump to the Florida Panthers. They got the Boston Bruins, one of the best teams in the league, and they got the New York Islanders. What do you think on that? I'm gonna go with the Panthers. I gotta stay with the Florida teams. Boston Bruins, they really do have a good heat to them. I wouldn't be surprised if they took the win, but I also just I want to see that rivalry in there. So I'm gonna go with the Florida Panthers on that one. Yeah, the Panthers have been really struggling these last couple games. They got a nice win on the road, but they had 4 straight losses prior to that, and Boston's a really good team. So similar to the Heat team, I'm gonna have the Panthers losing their first game and then beating the Islanders. Next, we got Inter Miami versus New York City. New York's not doing too great. They're pretty bottom of the barrel in the Eastern Conference. Well, who do you got coming out on top on that game? Again, I'm gonna go with the Miami Heat. The Inter Miami. Yeah, I think they really will bounce back from what they just did this past game. So yeah. I'm going with the home team here as well, Inter Miami. I think New York City's struggling a lot, so I think Inter Miami's going to come out on top. Now we got Miami Sharks, just had their first win in organization history, as we saw. They're playing San Diego Legion, who's 3-1 as of right now, and they're doing pretty well. Historically, a pretty good team. Well, what are your thoughts on that? What are your thoughts, Seth? Actually, I'm going to go with San Diego to win this game. I don't think the Sharks are pretty new, and they got a nice win, but it wasn't against a great team, and San Diego's been dominating, so I think San Diego's going to take it to them. All right, I'm going to go with the shocker here. I'm going to go with Miami Sharks. Just across the board, the Miami teams. Yeah, I want to see how that's going to keep up. Yeah, I would like to see if they could carry that momentum from that first game into this upcoming week against the Legion. Just a reminder that if you want to keep up with updates, fun segments, and more from our crew, you can follow our Instagram for all things Sideline. Follow us at sideline.caplin. That's it for today. I'm Kimora Miller.
And I'm Zeth Leon. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next week on The Sideline.